So, when did counseling stop being about problem solving? Well, not anymore. Introducing solution-focused counseling with the unlicensed counselor. And now, here's your host, Steve Moak.
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of The Unlicensed Counselor. My name is Steve Moak. I am the Unlicensed Counselor, and as always, so grateful to be here and grateful to be here on a Tuesday, a beautiful Tuesday out here in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. And let's all take a moment in this kind of month and week of gratitude. Wherever you're listening, I want to say thank you for listening, and I appreciate it. And let's be sure to make sure you have a little gratitude in your heart this week. Look, I know we got friends, families, gatherings, schedules. I'm running this into my own life of scheduling with family and kids and going and doing stuff. And look, I know it can get a little stressful. Try. Take a moment, pause, reflect. Don't let the anger spill over. Let's enjoy the time with our family and friends, and be sure to have a great Thanksgiving that's coming up. So, have a fun topic that I wanted to dig into this week. As always, I wrap an episode and I just start having thoughts around what I want to discuss next week. And I've had a lot of thoughts lately, and this has actually been kind of percolating for about 2 weeks now, around the desire of want. Why do we want things? Is it good to want things? Is it not good? Should we reduce, how much we want things? Kind of the impact of wanting things and how much is enough in our life. And I'll share some of my own thoughts, but I then put down a whole list of ideas and then research some other thoughts around kind of the want and where that comes from as well too. And I wanted to dig into that. I just thought it was a really interesting topic that, again, if I think is interesting, I'm going to talk about it and share some of my thoughts directly with you as well too. But before we do that, I want to say, as always, a thank you to our friends and, really our anchor sponsor at ShareTech. ShareTech is the at-home drug and alcohol screen that is the most comprehensive test available on the market. The one of the great benefits of using the ShareTech test as well, too, is that it is performed at a lab, right? And why that is important, because as new substances get identified or new drug trends emerge throughout the country, the ShareTech team will actually add these substances to the screening panel as well. So if you go and buy a test at Walgreens or Amazon or wherever, you're stuck testing those same substances that have been on that same panel forever. And again, those are usually just dipstick type tests, and hope that strip is accurate and gives you the result that you're looking for. There is a drug called xylazine, some people call it Tranq, that started on the East Coast and has now made its way west, and it is showing up in samples all over the country. And it is called the zombie drug. It is scary stuff. These are the types of things that get added to the ShareTech test, so you're not just stuck testing for weed and opiates and all just the basic stuff when many folks are using other substances, and they also may not know that they're using other substances like a fentanyl, which is cut into many other drugs as well. So I could go on and on about the benefits of the ShareTech test. Google ShareTech, that's ShareTek, and find out how you can ship a test directly to your front door and be able to trust the results. So obviously our next sponsor, my favorite friends at EasySheets.club. This is our professionally cleaned and pressed sheet service. You can change out the color, the style, go to flannel in the wintertime. Really have some fun with it. It's cool to see, how a sheet change or color change in your bedroom can really make an impact in your room. Have some fun with it. Go to EasySheets.club. It's almost 2024. Put some fun sheets on your bed. I personally recommend and sleep on and use the Carry Aloha White Bamboo. Once you've tried that, I don't really change all that much because I really enjoy it. So again, go to EasySheets.club and get signed up for that. These start at $50 a month. So last but not least, the Hard Stop the Youth Drug Prevention campaign that we're doing. Go to the stopstartshere.org. You'll be able to follow us, see our content, see our videos. This is really important work that we're doing for youth drug abuse prevention. I'm very proud of the work that we're doing. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more around that and having some guests come in and talk about youth drug abuse prevention as well. So, okay, All right. Want to dig into this idea on want. So the desire for kind of material things, right? Like how much do we need? I know that it's going to vary from individual to individual. It's going to change based on psychological, social, cultural, and economic factors. But I want to dig into some reasons why some people may seek or prioritize material things and some people don't. Right? So number one on the list that I put together was psychological needs. So individuals may seek material possessions to fulfill basic psychological needs, such as security, comfort, sense of control. And possessions can provide a tangible sense of stability and safety. Right? So I just think that was the number one kind of baseline. The number two thing, and I think this is really very prevalent in our society, is kind of the social comparison. And I think that the social media has obviously exacerbated that significantly. I think it's always been there because I'm sure a lot of people have heard the analogies. If you put, two cars that look similar to each other, but one has a Ferrari and one has a Ford logo on it, the status being associated with the one that is branded as luxurious is often the one that people are going to go with. And they want to engage in this social comparison where they assess their own status and success in relation to others. So I am better than or less than. So acquiring all these material things is kind of that desire to keep up or surpass your friends or peers in wealth and social standing, right? And social media does that so easily. I mean, look at the pervasiveness of luxury bags and shoes or sunglasses or athletic wear. I mean, jewelry, it just goes on and on and on. I'm still amazed at some of these luxurious items and how ridiculous that they look, but that just shows you the impact of just the branding and the status or cachet, or watches are a great example of this. And now you can buy watches for millions of dollars. I'll take my little Timex over here. And look, I'm not above that, so I shouldn't even make light of it. I certainly have some material possessions as well, and I'll share more on how I personally live. And this is something I don't know if I struggle with, but I think about quite often. It's like, should I be, really driven to acquire more or attain more or things like that? So again, this is why I talk about it, part for my own benefit, but I just think that it's an interesting thing that we may not think about all the time about why do we want things? Why do we continue to do that? And shoes, I've got a little shoe issue going on in my own household right now. And I'm not talking like fancy, but like these Nike Dunk Lows. I like to wear them, pair them with my, anyways, that's a topic for another time, or maybe we'll touch on it a little bit later. Number 3 on my list is kind of the cultural and societal influences, right? So these norms play a significant role in shaping our values and aspirations. And in some cultures like ours, the accumulation of material wealth may be highly valued and seen as a symbol of success and achievement, right? So kind of collecting all of these things, right, in our world, in the United States, and I can't speak for a lot of other cultures, but you are kind of put up the social pedestal by having these things. And maybe it's multiple houses or private planes and things like that. Like, these are the things. And now you're able to paste these things all over social media. It's gotten so bad on the social media side is that there are basically props and stages that you can go in and put yourself into a plane or into a house or something like that to fake as if you were on vacation in this place or on a private plane as well. If that doesn't give you a snapshot into how we view these types of material things in our society, I'm not sure what does, right? Now, obviously, number 4, advertising and media really help shape this and propagate this out into our world as well. The advertising industry often promotes kind of this consumerism. They want to create desires for new products and a fostering of a culture that is really kind of around constant consumption, right? And these advertisements can influence individuals to associate with happiness or success with the acquisition or getting of more stuff. We are just bombarded by that all day long on Instagram, on Facebook, on advertising, on TV, and just anywhere we go, we are encouraged to kind of continue to do that. And that's why I see stuff pop up and I'm like, man, I feel like I want to buy that. And I'm just like, why do I feel like I have to buy everything that pops up on my Instagram advertisements? I'm like, ooh, that looks cool. In how the things that I'm doing to kind of go, all right, do we need that? Do you just really like it? Will you like it if you buy it tomorrow? Because I've bought enough of these things and it gets here. First off, half the time I forgot that I bought it. And this isn't because I'm high or drunk. I don't drink anything. It's just like in that moment, that dopamine, those things fire off and I'm like, ooh, yes, Apple Pay, buy, click. And it's just, there's like a little sense of gratification that I got it. And honestly, it gets here and I'm like, I didn't need that. Or did I even really look at it that closely? I don't even like that feature or something that along the lines. But it's just being able to recognize in that moment and be able to pause, right? That's something that I've been able to do. Pause, set it, come back to it. If I still feel like I want something the next day, all right, maybe go ahead with the purchase. And I'm not like that with everything. You're allowed to just buy some things that make you happy, right? And that's the balance in all of this that I really kind of work on in my own world. All right, okay, do I need this? Do I want it? If I come back to it, will I still want it tomorrow? But number 5 on my list was emotional fulfillment. So some individuals may use material possessions as a means of seeking happiness or emotional fulfillment. Buying new things can provide a temporary sense of pleasure and satisfaction. I've been caught in that. And in fact, during the holiday season, I actually enjoy buying people gifts more. And I don't know if it's because it just makes me happier, which I don't think is a bad thing, right? I don't think it is a bad thing, but I want to make sure that I'm doing it for the right reasons. And I think that I do. And I remember early on in recovery, people would be talking about this as well too, because again, it's that gratification. It's that similar mechanism that fires in our brain when we purchase something that releases kind of those good feelings within inside of us. And they always warned around kind of shopping or even eating and different things like that, where it's just that regulation that we need to be mindful of, or where it's just easy to go, click, buy, got it. Satisfaction, buy, got it. And it's just something that we really need to be aware of if we're just kind of constantly trying to feed that pleasure or satisfaction thing as well too. So again, these are just where some of these desires come from for these material things. Number 6 on my list was self-identity and self-worth. So, for some folks, possessions may be tied to their sense of identity and self-worth. So owning certain brands might make you feel more important or confident or accepted in social circles. We've all done this, and I think there is an acceptable limit for this as well, too. But I think we've also heard the stories of the successful Wall Street or business people who had a bunch, maybe lost a bunch, and now their identity and self-worth was tied in flying private or the house in Aspen or this, that, and the other thing. And when that goes away, maybe they've committed suicide and different things and gone because they were so strongly associated with the fact that my worth is tied to my net worth, right? And I just don't think that's healthy in any way, shape, or form. I think it's great to be able to afford to do all of those things, right? But having that be the core of kind of who you built your identity on, or these brands that you must wear in order to do this, I think it's something we could all be more cognizant of, right? I like to wear certain brands and things as well too. I get it, but my spending stuff isn't buying a $500 t-shirt or something like that. I mean, there are levels in this thing as well too. And I do think you need to make sure that you're being financially responsible in how you're going onto all this as well, which leads me to number 7. So economic circumstances such as income levels and job stability can also influence the importance placed on material possessions. So those facing financial insecurity may prioritize acquiring material things as a way to establish a sense of security. Now, I've heard some different stats and things on, the bulk of folks who are over at Louis Vuitton. Literally, Fashion Square Mall has some of the most expensive shops in the country. I'm sure, there are many of those, but they've got a whole row of just places with the security guards and the little gates, just like you'd see up in Vegas in these high-end stores. And I've heard this, and I don't know the statistic on this, but the folks that are going to the Louis Vuitton and buying those shoes and the Gucci and all that stuff, I mean, are are the people who maybe shouldn't necessarily be buying that at all the time, that the people who really have the big bucks aren't the ones that are going in there to spend, $7,000 on a handbag or something like that. Take that for what you will. I just think it's an example of folks who are trying to buy their way into certain status things as well, too, by picking up that purse or that pair of shoes or those sunglasses or whatever it may be. So I don't know, just something to keep in mind as you're out there thinking about kind of the desires of wants as well too. And then last on my list for this section was the personality traits. So individual personality traits can play a role. Some people are more inclined to be materialistic due to their personality characteristics, such as a high need for status or a focus on external validation. I think that comes from, environment growing up as well too. I think there's personality traits that can also get molded if you grew up in a home where, things and materials were valued in such a way that was kind of always the goal, is to have that certain brand of car. And then there's a whole other side of the world for folks who maybe have grown up with a lot of those things and how they view that. And I've kind of been on the other side of that scale where it's like I've grown up under the ability to see a lot of nice things, and it has changed my it's changed my perspective on kind of the value I place on those things. And again, I don't know if it's for better or for worse, but I don't place the same value on them that I think a lot of folks may have, because it's still at the end of the day a shoe, a purse, and things like that. So, okay, now I talked a little bit about where that came from. Now let's talk about, because I'm not trying to beat up on this. I actually do think there's a lot of positive benefits to wanting things. And I want to touch on, what some of the benefits of wanting these things as well too. And this is an area that I could probably work on. Sometimes, I've become, not content is the right word, but really happy with where I'm at, that it's like, well, maybe I should want some more things, and that would drive me to do additional things as well. So, this is me on my own personal life, just trying to figure out exactly where is that line of the things that, wanting things creates motivation, incentive, and drive to do these things versus being content and happy with what you have currently as well too. So, again, wanting things is completely natural and common. I think it has a lot of positive impacts, but you need to be able to balance it out. So I just created another list of some ideas. And number one on that list was functional and practical needs. So wanting material things is essential for meeting basic needs and improving the quality of life, like clothing, shelter, tools, comfort, safety, functionality. I mean, you got to be able to cover kind of the basics. And I want to make sure that I can, take my daughter to do things and have the clothes, that she wants. And, this the simple stuff, just kind of the basics and practical stuff. And I think that's good. And you want to make sure that you always have that baseline, that kind of the practical stuff of wanting. And I think that's, pretty straightforward. And I think most people are hopefully meeting that. But number two I had was motivation for achievement, right? So desiring material success can serve as a motivational factor for setting and achieving goals. As individuals work towards acquiring certain possessions, they may develop skills, work ethic, and perseverance that contribute to personal and professional growth. So, by wanting these things and wanting whatever material possession or trip or status that it is, I don't think that's entirely bad. I think it can help drive you in your work and kind of push you a little bit further. Now, I think a lot of us then go too far on the other side, because it is nice when you start hammering some big checks and the bank account's starting to grow and life's getting a little more comfortable and you're able to enjoy some of the pleasures. And then maybe that feeds into working a little bit more and more. So I'm really talking about a balance here of exactly what that looks like and how to balance kind of the wants and needs and desires within your life as well too. But number three was economic stimulus. So, consumer spending is a driving force in many economies, right? We've seen that. And the converse of that is well true. I mean, if people aren't, things aren't going great. So when people want and buy material things, it stimulates the economy and the activity in supporting businesses and creating jobs and contributing to overall economic growth. So wanting things helps all of us because we go out, we're eating out at a restaurant a little bit more, we're going out to the mall, we're going on trips, we're doing a little shopping, we're enjoying our life, and that's net positive for all of us because so much of our economy is driven by this, right? We got to have some disposable income to spend, and that really keeps the wheels spinning in this country, right? And number 4 I had was the expression of identity. So again, another benefit of material possessions can be a way for individuals to express their identity, values, personal style. This could be clothing and accessories and other possessions that can serve as a form of self-expression and creativity, right? So you're able to, want things that can help you be who you are. And if you want to dress a certain way or drive a certain car, or there's a car around here in Scottsdale that's like a piece of art that they change every single week, and it's really this funky kind of thing that gets all kinds of stares. And it's like, okay, great. If that's how you want to express your identity, then go do it and raise money and grow a business or do whatever it is that you do. And I think that's a cool way to be able to express yourself. And wanting things is a way to achieve that. Next up is social connections. So shared interest in certain material pursuits can facilitate social connections. Whether it's a shared hobby, collecting items, or enjoying a particular form of entertainment, material possessions can be a common ground for building relationships, right? And I think that's a good thing, right? Whether it's going on ski trips with family and friends, and we grew up doing that, and I still do that to this day. So again, that balance of being able to want things and what's too much and what's not enough. But I think the social connection side of this thing is a benefit of the wanting material things as well too, because it can kind of put you together with folks as well. And that's not a bad thing. And I don't want this podcast today, the topic, to come off like I'm bad-mouthing the desire of want. I think it's a net good thing. But let's just think about where we fall in this particular spectrum of want as well too. It's not something I think about all the time, but it's been on my mind a little bit. Because I'm more of the mindset like, maybe I should want more, right? Maybe I should want more. But then I was like, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? And that's just some of the thoughts that I've been wrestling with as well too. And then the last part for this section was just the comfort and convenience that it provides, right? So having some material possessions enhance our comfort and convenience in our daily life. This includes items like furniture, appliances, and technology, not having to worry about the cost of gas necessarily because you're making money and doing things and you're able to put your kids in club sports and go out to dinner and go on trips and things like that. I think that is all. I don't think it is all good, and I hope that most people, really strive for that. But I just like to kick these things around as a possible idea, so to kind of think about where you're at and the desire of want in your own life. Now, here, I'm going to close kind of the podcast with just a couple thoughts that I want to blow through on. A lot of us probably want a lot, right? You want more things. You want a bigger house. You want a different car. You want to be able to take a month-long trip to Europe. You want to have a second house, or maybe they're bigger ones like planes, and who knows? Right? That's all fine and good. But I do think there's a time and a place to analyze kind of our desire for wants. And now this is a list of just maybe you have all these wants, but maybe you'd like to pare it down a little bit. Maybe you'd like to be able to reduce some of those wants or really start to identify maybe the key wants on your list as well too. Instead of wanting everything, we can start to pare that list down, and maybe that'll help you even get more focused to actually achieving to get to those things that you want. Now, as always, it wouldn't be an unlicensed counselor episode without talking about gratitude, right? So if you're able to practice and cultivate a sense of gratitude, and I'm not talking about this just because it's Thanksgiving week and that's kind of on our mind, but just reflecting back regularly on kind of the positive aspects for your life. And I think that's going to shift away the focus of what you lack, what you don't have, or maybe some of the unnecessary things that you may be kind of striving for in life. Another thing is kind of embracing minimalism. Now, minimalism, there you go, has a lot of different thoughts and connotations when it's shared. And I practice a touch of this, but in a way of, I just want the things that I have to be nice. I don't need a lot of things. I just want the things that I have to be nice. So you can take that and apply kind of a minimalist lifestyle, however that fits you, but just simplifying, decluttering, keeping only the possessions that truly add value to your life. And one of the things that I regularly do is just purge, right? It's just whether it's clothes, shoes, stuff that's in my garage, stuff that you just accumulate. The kids, my goodness, we got toys and books and stuffies, and it's like, okay, time to cycle that out. And it's one of the best feelings. I know sometimes you're like, I don't want to, no, move it along. You'll want, in a week, you'll feel way better that you got rid of it and you have less floating around your house. So finding ways to kind of embrace some minimalism. And then another idea was kind of setting clear values and priorities. So what are your core values and priorities in life? What truly matters to you? And maybe that can help you redirect your focus away from, again, material possessions. So less on the things and more on what really matters. Time with the kids, time with the wife, maybe it's your religion, maybe it's sports, maybe it's healthy living, eating, whatever that is. Pause, reassess, think it through, right? And I think that's going to help maybe dial it back a little bit on exactly maybe reducing some of those wants in your life. I think another thing that's interesting is kind of mindful consumption. And, maybe 10, 15 years ago, this wasn't really a thing, but I think it's a thing now, especially with some of our younger folks and generations. Before you make a purchase, does this product align with my values? Is it something that's just an impulse buy? Do I really need this? Think about the long-term impact of kind of your purchase, maybe the environmental impact of this purchase as well too. I'm not saying you got to go think all of these things through for every single purchase, but as you're just trying to maybe, want or desire things a little bit less, these are some tips and tools of like, do I need this? Am I just buying a new version of this one? Do I need the new iPhone this year? Maybe I can skip this year, or maybe I can go 2 years on. Think of things like that as well too. I think number 5 is, focusing on experiences a little bit more than things, right, that you can put on a shelf, right? Think about, experiencing things in life, investing time and resources, activities, adventures, relationships, rather than accumulating more stuff. And those experiences, and I do think the shift to experiences is currently happening, and especially with a lot of our younger folks that are out there, this is going to provide longer lasting satisfaction than, another thing in your closet on a shelf, right? Being able to look back at that picture and smile, or think about that sunset that you saw, or, that time you were sitting on the beach, smiling with your family. That's the stuff that I think really matters when you get through all of this material stuff that's out there. And I just touched on this one, is just educating yourself as well about the environmental and even social impacts of consumerism, right? Excess consumption. I've been guilty of this. I'm not perfect with it, right? But think about all of the stuff and the waste that goes into it, or single use this and that, and it may make you motivated to make some different choices along the way. I'm not perfect with that. I'm not preaching to anybody out there, but as a way, and again, this is just a list of ways to kind of reduce or think about reducing kind of the material things. That could be a way you could think about things to maybe slow your roll just a touch. And next up on the list would be setting financial goals. So really kind of establishing some clear financial goals and priorities, and saving money for specific purposes, such as travel, or those experiences, or education, or early retirement. Having a sense of purpose around those things can hopefully, again, decrease the desire for wanting more things. And I think that's an important one that often gets overlooked, because it's easy to just keep that credit card just swiping, right? Whether it's Amazon or Apple Pay or whatever, you just keep that thing humming, right? We touched on number 8 a little bit before, is avoiding social comparison. So limit comparing yourself to others, especially in terms of material things, right? Recognize that everyone has different financial circumstances and priorities, and what works for one person may not be suitable necessarily for you as well, too. Like, you never know, they may have the boat and you may see them go on the trip, but you don't know what's going on over there. They could be on their last dime. You just never know what's going on in the world. So let's really stop limiting and comparing. Oh, I know they go here over Christmas, or they go over there. I understand it's natural, it's normal. We're human beings. We feel these things. We think these things. Kids are going to say stuff to it. But let's really try and limit that. And maybe that is a reduction on some of the social media stuff as well, too. Two more, and then we'll call us a podcast episode. Develop contentment. This is something that I've really focused on in my own life, and now I'm questioning if I've developed too much contentment, right? If that's really a thing. So cultivating contentment by appreciating the present moment and finding joy in simple pleasures. Man, has that been something I've really been working on over the last few years. So practicing mindfulness to be aware and fully engage in your daily experiences. Like with a kid, I think that's really where it might shifted. So it's, should be 4. So that's something that's been big in my world. And after taking big swings in the startup world and having varying levels of success there, getting sidetracked and mad and upset and divorce and recovery, it's like if you just let these things and get on and hold on for dear life, you're never going to be content. So really trying to find the balance. And now, honestly, I'm to the point where I'm so damn content and happy with where my life is at. But the other part of me that's kind of that competitive driven kind of push side is going, I think we need a little bit more. I think we got to step it up a little bit more. And then the other side of me comes into my brain and goes, yeah, but then you're going to maybe throw off the balance on the other side. So it's just this kind of yin and yang that I'm constantly working on. But I do think the contentment, it's making sure that we can find ourselves and grounded in it. And number 10 and last on the list is contribute to others. So engaging in activities that involve giving back to your community, helping others, contributing to the well-being of others is really where you're going to find a sense of fulfillment that goes beyond those material possessions, and hopefully, again, would be another tool to helping you reduce kind of the desire of want. So, before I close here, this is not a bagging on wanting things. If you want it and you want to go for it, go for it. Now, you may want to make sure that you're on the same page with your partner about those things. And if that's your goal is to slam as much bucks and buy all the stuff that you want, go for it, right? Go for it. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. In my life, in my view, I'm trying to find a better balance of contentment, but also kind of achieving those things that I want. And where exactly that lies, I'll report back to you as I continue to find that out in my own life. But look, thanks for listening this week. I really hope everyone enjoys time with their family. I know, just remember, it can be a little bit bumpy here and there, but as you hear this, smile, whatever it is, let it go that's hanging you up right now, and go have that second piece of pie and enjoy the rest of your week. My name is Steve Moak. I am the Unlicensed Counselor. Until next time, thank you very much.